we have to address the fact that we have an infestation of insects. I'm like, you just mass killed all these living beings with poison from the sky. And you did it in front of me.
Aerial assaults.
While you're espousing the benefits of Buddhism and meditation and...
Yeah, so people kind of cherry pick.
Yeah.
And I understand it, but... And
it's odd.
I don't mind if someone cherry picks as long as they're completely self-aware.
Most people aren't.
And by the way, the home where you're saving the mouse, I did a rough calculation. It's probably made from the wood of about 50 trees. Each tree could have lived 100 years, but didn't because it was cut down to make your home. The the studs, the 2x4s, the floorboards, the wall panels, the siding. And each of those trees was home to birds and insects and fungus and squirrels and every day of that tree's life, via photosynthesis, it created 15 times the mass of the mouse in breathable oxygen. So I ask you, who do you think nature cares more about? The tree or your 1 ounce mouse?
Probably the tree.
I'm thinking. And some trees live 1,000 years.
Well, have you paid attention to some of the new research that's being done about how trees communicate with each other?
I'll get to that. Yeah, I'll get to that. That's in that chapter, the Meatarians and Vegetarians chapter. So trees are fascinating. I've heard people say, well, the mouse has a beating heart and the tree does not, or plants do not, and animals do. And I said to let me think this through. If you cloak a tree, does it not suffocate? If you cut a tree, does it not bleed? If you cut off its nutrients at the base, does it not wither and die?
Well, when they're aware they're being eaten, they release plant defense chemicals.
I'm getting there. All I'm saying is the tree gets nutrients from the soil to the topmost leaf. It does it not for want of a beating heart. It does it in spite of not having one.
Right.
It has a circulation.
It just has a different
it's where I get
way
my,
of life.
It's where I get my maple syrup from, tree blood. So to fault a tree or plant life for not having a beating heart, when it's not that they need one and don't have one, it's that they don't need one and never wanted one. Now you're talking about the mycelium. So this is a interconnected network. It's a fungal network underfoot in a forest where it connects multiple kingdoms of life. There are 4 kingdoms. You might have learned that there were 2. We've upped it since then. Those 2 kingdoms are still intact, but like I said, now there's more. It's embedded in a larger truth. There was the plant kingdom, animal kingdom, fungal kingdom, and then we have a kingdom that includes all of the bacteria and archaea and other microscopic life forms. And so here's an interesting fact. I lost sleep for a week over this. Ready? If you look at the common ancestor between fungus and animals, because the tree of life ultimately has one taproot, okay? And as it splits, it speciates, and you get all these things. The diversity of life on Earth is enabled by the fact that life can speciate. Okay. You look at the common ancestor between animals and fungus, the common ancestor between humans and mushrooms split later than its common ancestor split with green plants. What that means is we and mushrooms are more alike than either we or mushrooms are to green plants.
Well, mushrooms breathe oxygen.
All I'm saying is, you grill a portobello mushroom? What's the first word people use to describe it?
Vegetarian.
No, they talk about mushrooms tasting meaty.
Yeah.
Yeah, meaty mushroom. No one has, last I checked, no one has ever accused kale of tasting meaty.
No.
So in a way, we're kind of biting into ourselves. Plus mushrooms, shrooms, people have whole relationships with mushrooms.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, and mushrooms are fungus. Fungus thrives on our body.
Have you ever done
Yeast.
psychedelic mushrooms?
I've never done anything psychedelic.
Why?
Can I tell you why?
Yeah, please do.
So I don't know if it's a good reason. I don't know if it's the best reason that can exist, but for me, it's a really good reason. The human mind barely works as it is. Barely. You ever see a book of optical illusions? Mm-hmm. No one doesn't love a good book of optical illusions. And you turn the page, oh, what is that? Oh, is it in the page, out of the page? Is the line longer? Is it shorter? And you scratch in your head. These are simple line drawings that confound the human mind's ability to interpret. Our brain barely works as an accurate decoder of the natural world around you. You now want to stir in chemicals? I recognize it'll take you on a ride, but I have always valued objective reality. I don't want anything interfering with my understanding of what is actually happening in front of me. And there are people who would claim that under the influence, they're accessing some actual other reality. All I can say is, if in that other reality you can, invent the James Webb Space Telescope, tell me about it. If you can figure out how to fly, and if you can do that, tell us about it. And there are people say, oh, I visited Venus when I was on a head trip. Did you bring back evidence? Evidence matters. Okay. Did you bring it? No, but it was in their head.
Well, the material world, what we're talking about is actual physical objects, right? It's if you could bring
physical world,
back
the physical
something,
universe,
the physical, where what they're experiencing is something akin to, you could call it a hallucination. You could call it a portal where physical reality doesn't exist, and you only exist as consciousness.
Here's my skepticism. I don't mind people saying that they visited another planet or whatever, wherever they're visiting, or some astral plane. Okay, I don't. Okay, I'm, write a travelogue and share it with people, as some have done. I guess I would ask whether what you experienced is part of an objective reality that we can all recognize. Because if it's not, then it's completely in your head. And if it's completely in your head,
but wait a minute,
it's less useful.
But what do you mean by that? Part of an objective reality?
An objective reality. So here's an example. When people have these near-death experiences, okay, or one where they're dying on a table, and they are commonly described, they leave their body and they look back on themselves. Okay, that's a